Hey guys, it's Rhonda. Welcome back to my channel. As promised, I have a flip through of this little Golden Book junk journal that I have turned into what is my rough translation now of Project Life. So if you're not familiar with Project Life, check my video right before this one. I will link it down below. It talks about what Project Life is, where I'm at with Project Life, and what I use Project Life for. So basically, in a nutshell, this is my way of documenting my life. So this is a year of my life. This is the year that I turned 54. I just finished this one. I start this junk journal in April, and this documents the birth year of my life. So all of my 54s are included in here. So this goes from April, this was April 2022 to March of 2023. So I'm super glad to have this done and caught up and ready to move on and do a new year. So I thought I would share with you quickly, though not quickly, this thing is a beast. So it's going to take a little while to go through this, but grab yourself a cup of coffee, grab yourself something to drink, and join me for a flip through of this. If you would please, while you're here, like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'll have lots more flip throughs. I will obviously have to work on a new Project Life journal. I've got trip journals, all that kind of stuff. And I also share the items that are in my Etsy shop. So make sure that you are subscribed. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Obviously, this is a Bambi little golden book. I have distressed the cover a little bit. It's the more vintage little golden book, but I've distressed it a little bit. I've added the vintage book corners to it. This particular junk journal, I have wanted to go for like a vintage floral theme, so you'll see that throughout. I've added this little tassel here. I've added the years of this album, so 2022, 2023 are included on here, as well as 54. That's all included in here. So let's go ahead and open this up. So I've got this just tied together with a ribbon. Okay, now one thing I haven't done, I have not completed my library card. I do always put a library card in the front of my books. I have not completed that yet, so I will go back and do that, just do some journaling on there. The title of the little golden book, the title page is always the title page in my album. And this one starts with me turning 54. So I always take a selfie. If you've seen my other video, you know I take a selfie as the first page in my book. This is me turning 54. This is what 54 looks like. Snapchat, I always forget, has birthday filters, so I added some of the Snapchat birthday filters on here. I also want to share with you guys kind of the things that I document. So I've had some questions before in the past. I had another YouTube channel where I basically journaled in pocket pages and 12 by 12 albums. But I always got questions about, like, what kind of things do you document? And I will share with you, because there's a lot to our lives. And I think by looking at this, like, this is a year of my life, and there's so much things that happen in life that are worthy of documenting. So I take screenshots of emails that I get. So, like this one I got from Disney. It's like, happy birthday month, pal. Hope it's a poppin' good time, you know? I wanted to include that. I'm a Disney adult, and I freely admit that. So I wanted to put that in here. My daughter brought my grand dogs over. So just a picture of the dogs when they came to visit me. My friends took me out for my birthday. So that's some photos from that. Lots of photos from that evening. I've used some tags here to add some photos to. So there's photos on the back side of that. Just lots of photos. This is like the cardboard that the hot coffee cups came in for my Easter brunch. So it's Peter Rabbit. So I just cut that out and I colored that in, and I wanted to make sure and put that in here. This is the napkin. So I just glued the napkin to the front of that. I love Easter time. It is my favorite holiday. I love the springtime. I love the spring flowers for that. So I've just added pictures of that. This was an email that I got from Disney. We were going to Disney at the end of April. And so this is an email that Disney sent that said, get ready to celebrate in the parks. This was my birthday trip. It was also the Disney 50th anniversary trip that we went on. If you guys have seen my channel, I have a whole slew of Disney junk journals that I am doing for this particular trip. So I didn't put a lot in here, but I did want to make sure that some of the photos were documented. So I just took some of the photos that I took and I put them in the collage program in the app that I use I have an Epson Picture Mate that I use to print some of my photos. And this is the collage that I use. And I just wanted to put some photos from that trip on here. Again, I will have junk journals that document the entire trip, but these are just some of my favorite photos. We also went to Disney's Vero Beach Resort for a few days. So this was us. We drove the A1 down to Vero Beach. So we stopped at along the ocean and took some photos. This is my beach hair don't care photo. This was the castle decorated for the 50th anniversary. Sunrise on the beach, just some more collage photos from that trip. All right, and then now we're looking at, this is May. I don't know if somewhere I have it documented that this is May. Oh, right here. So this is the start of my May photos. So we went with some friends up to Frisco in the mountains for a long weekend, and it happened to snow so much while we were there. So we are all about taking photos when we get together. So I am grateful that I have friends who get how valuable it is to document these times that we spend together. So we have a lot of photos. So I just did a little flip here with photos from that trip and photos here. Just us hanging out on the town. I've used a ticket here as a tab down at the bottom. And then this is where it snowed. So while we were there, it snowed 17 inches in one day in May. So that's Colorado for you. So we took a lot of photos of the snow. This was a screenshot from my phone, and we just journaled about how much snow there was. This is us taking a photo out in the snow on the deck. We had a VRBO, so we went out and took a photo on the deck. And then June, documented a little bit about June. My staff and I at work got a nearly perfect audit, so my boss sent me flowers. So I've just taken pictures of that. This is the card that came with it. So that is tucked inside of there. My avalanche made it to the Stanley Cup again, finally. It had been a long time, so I took screenshots of this saying, that they were in the Stanley Cup finals. This was a work event. I had a friend that passed away the previous year from COVID, so our group of friends went out to visit him, so we just took a little selfie of us out at his gravesite. I also document movies that we see, so this is a screenshot of when we went to see Top Gun. Journaled a little bit about that. Down here, we have a local band. You will see this throughout this journal. We have a local band that we absolutely love. One of my good friends is in the band, and so we go see them every time they play. They're like a 70s, 80s rock cover band, and we just adore them. So we actually went to a biker bar to go see them one night, which is so not us. We are so not biker bar people. But so we took photos from that night, and this is, again, one of the collage elements that I use in my Epson PictureMate app, and I just print these out. This is a great way to use your photos without taking up a lot of space. So like right here, I've used 6 photos, and they just live in this little glassine bag right there. This is a smaller page. This was actually an envelope, but I've used it to document when my Avs won the Stanley Cup, so that was exciting. This year, not so exciting, but last year it was great. So I documented that. This is another night that we went out to that same local band concert. So we just took a lot of pictures from that. Again, more film strip and journaling. I've got pockets here with pictures. These are horizontal 3x4s, and these are vertical 3x4s, and they just tuck in those pockets. Just some additional photos there. To the edge of this paper, I've added some pom-pom trim. I just love that effect, how that looks when the book is closed. This is July, just some photos of, some roses in, and we always get little baby bunnies in our backyard, so that's there. This is a couple photos of flowers that one of my clients sent to me as a thank you. So I've included all of the information that came, the card and all of that kind of stuff that came with the photos. This was when I went to see the Elvis movie. So my husband and I broke down and went to see the Elvis movie. I am a huge Elvis fan, have been almost my entire life, even though I was like 9 when he died, and I didn't really know who he was before that. But since then, I became a huge Elvis fan, especially in high school. And I was very leery of going to see the Elvis movie. I don't love when other people try to play Elvis, and I had seen previews of this and I was like, I can't see it. I just can't. Like, I don't love that kind of movie. And then one of my best friends, my childhood best friend, lives in Utah. And she and I, through high school, were big Elvis fans. And we always had made a plan to go to Graceland. And we never did. And so we were texting back and forth about seeing the movie. And we decided that we were going to go see it. And so my husband and I went and saw it. And I texted her and I said, you've got to see it. Like, I cried all the way through it. Like, this movie touched my soul. And I cried all the way through this movie. And I texted her afterwards and I said, do you remember like when we always talked about going to Graceland? And she said, well, let's do it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so by the time this text conversation had ended, we had already booked a trip to Graceland. So you'll see some photos from that, but oh my gosh, it was amazing. I do plan on sharing with you guys how I put together my Graceland journal. I did one for her when we got back. I created a junk journal with our Graceland photos and memorabilia and stuff, and I sent that to her. I will be doing one for me. I don't know when that's coming, but I definitely am doing another junk journal for me of our Graceland trip because it was phenomenal. So inside here, I've just done some journaling about that conversation and how me going to see this movie led to us planning a trip to Graceland. So that is all tucked in there. Again, more concert photos. This time, a couple friends and I went to go see Loverboy, Styx, and REO. And so I journaled about that. And inside here, I've added this pocket or this envelope. And inside are a lot of photos. So you can see I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 photos on these little film strip collages, and they just live in here. So that's a great way to use up a lot of photos. Put them in a collage and then tuck them into a pocket or something like that. So these are just photos from that concert. Here I have a wedding invitation. My niece was getting married in Santa Fe, and so my husband and I road tripped it down to Santa Fe, and we stayed in Santa Fe for her wedding. It was just a quick little short weekend getaway, but I've got this map. So I've used a map from Santa Fe. Whoops. So I've included that in here. This is northern Santa Fe, or northern New Mexico. So it includes Santa Fe. It's just a map. I did a lot of journaling about that trip. Again, it was just a short trip, so we didn't get a lot of time to do a little bit of the touristy things that we wanted to do, but we were able to go to the plaza for a little bit. So I've got our parking ticket from that, and just added some photos that we took. Now this one flips out. We stayed at the Sage Motel. Would not advise it if you're planning a trip to Santa Fe. I would not advise the Sage, just saying. But I've added, this is a piece of paper that was included in our room. It just says, welcome to the Sage, with some information about the Sage. This is the motel room key. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to keep those or not. I do. I feel like, you know, they can live without me returning my hotel key. They'll be just fine. So the social is the bar at the Sage, and my daughter and son-in-law, no, my son and daughter-in-law also went to the wedding, and so we were able to spend a lot of time with us or with them. They live in Texas, so we don't see them a whole lot, and this was the first time that we'd gotten together and spent a lot of time together in a while. So it was fun. We caught up for drinks every night and just hung out at the social. It was great. So I've taken that piece of paper, and this opens up and flips out. So this is pictures from the rehearsal dinner, just pictures of my family, just hanging out. Lots of fun. My son and my parents. So that was a fun time. So that flips out. I've got a photo of my niece and her new husband there. And then I've just got some more wedding photos. So this flips out, got wedding photos there. This is their save the date card. I included that as well, and then just attached a photo of our family on the back of it. Because it was up in the mountains of New Mexico, I snuck away for a little bit and took some wildflower photos. And so I've included those in here. And then this little bag, again, I've used the film strip trick and added a ton of the photos that I took. My nephew and I actually went out for a little walk and took a bunch of wildflower photos. So those all live in there. Over here, I've got this photo of my grandma. She turned 95 this year. It was bittersweet. It was very bittersweet. This is the first time I had seen her since COVID. She lives in a nursing home, and we weren't able to visit her. So I had not seen her in a couple of years. And so I I just knew when we saw her, we wanted to celebrate her 95th birthday, and I knew that she had just been hanging on to be able to see everyone for her birthday. She had had COVID a couple weeks before this, and I really think it messed with her memory. I had a little bit of a conversation with her, and I don't necessarily know that she knew exactly who I was. She talked about my grandpa visiting her and telling her that he was ready for her and that he was waiting for her. She kept talking about how she was just ready to go. I think that she truly hung out for this birthday party so that she could see her family. It was her 95th. We had a lot of people fly in and come in for this party, and I think that's what she was waiting for. So it was good to see her. It was good to spend this time with her, but I just kind of had a feeling that it would be one of the last times that I saw her. So I did document about that a little bit, took a photo of her with all of her girls. So she's got 6 daughters. My mom is the oldest. And so I wanted to include that photo with her. So then that was the end of July. So then over here in August, we've got, I bought a new car. And so I included the temporary tag or the temporary license plate in here with my key fob little thingy that came with my key and a photo of my new car. So that's there. Again, my friend and I went to a concert for that same group, and that is documented here. We did go out and visit our friend that had passed away. It was the 1-year anniversary of his death, so we went out to visit him, and I just journaled on this tag about that visit with him. And then sadly, right after that, my grandma did pass away. So I was able to visit with her one more time before she did pass away, and I journaled about that a little bit in here. So I've got this index card with some journaling about my grandma, and that just lives behind this photo of her. So my mom and her sisters had asked me to create the video for her memorial, which I was very happy to do. So I spent a lot of time working on that. And I took some of the favorite photos that people had sent me, and I just created this little collage photo because this is definitely how I will remember my grandma. So just did a little collage photo there. I took a photo of our hands at her visitation. I did cover this photo up because I know not a lot of people like to see people in their caskets, and this was a photo of my grandma in her casket, and just some photos from her rosary and her visitation. This is a picture of her casket, and then I've got this little glassine bag here that just holds the mass card in there. So that's there. Just some more photos. This is a glassine bag pocket that I added that holds the brochure from her funeral service, and then a photo of my grandma. So this I have added, this is a card. So I've covered up my address, but I took this card and I tucked the flap in here. And this card means so much to me, you guys. This is like the best gift ever. So shortly before my grandma passed away, my mom and my aunts were cleaning out her room at the nursing home. And they had come across a bunch of cards. So my grandma is very, very old school. She sent cards for every birthday. She sent cards for Christmas. She always would send cards. And in this tub, they found a card that my grandma had addressed to me. So my birthday was in April. This was in August. My grandma had written this card. She had addressed it. She had stamped it, and she had never sent it. So my mom brought it over to me, and this card means the absolute world to me. I think had I got it in April, I wouldn't have appreciated how much I love this card. But so I opened this card, and my grandma, I always got cards from my grandma on my birthday, and I didn't get one in April, and I didn't even think anything about it because she's living in a nursing home. I didn't know how much she could write. I didn't know if she could even write me a birthday card. So when I opened this card and I noticed this, so I don't know if you guys can tell, she wrote all of this, and all of this on the back. And I remember opening this with my mom, and we were blown away that she had written this much to me. And it is so precious to me. This is probably, I can't even, but it is very, very sweet to me. And I love the fact, so she's my godmother as well as my grandmother. And on the back, she signed it, "Your godmother," in quotes, which just makes me laugh. So it's godmother and grandmother. But I just love this card so much. So I wanted to make sure that I keep it in here, and it's in here forever. So I will always be able to look back at that card that my grandma sent or didn't send. So I'm so grateful that I have that. And I don't think I would have appreciated it nearly as much had I gotten it in April than I did right before she passed away. So, so just some more, I added some photos here in this little pocket. So when we were at my grandma's funeral service out at the cemetery, my dad's side of the family is buried in the same cemetery as my mom's side of the family. So we went out to find my dad's side of the family's headstones. So we were able to find those, and I took pictures of them because like my great grandparents are buried out here, my grandparents, a couple great aunts, and I just wanted pictures of their headstones. So those just live in there. I'll have them always if I need to look back on them. Okay. September. So my September memories, I went up to Breckenridge for, if you guys didn't know, I live in Colorado, so I had planned a little weekend getaway for my husband and I to Breckenridge. He is dealing with some medical issues and was not able to go, and he was like, just go. You need to get away. Like, August was very emotional with my grandma. So I went up to Breckenridge by myself. My best friend did meet me up there she stayed overnight with me one of the nights, and so we kind of went out on the town. But I just took a lot of pictures of walking around Breckenridge. So this is the hotel key. I stayed at the DoubleTree by Hilton. Would not suggest it if you're just curious. If you're ever in Breckenridge, I would not recommend the DoubleTree Hilton. But this is a notepad that was in the room, so I used that to do some journaling on. Again, I kept the hotel key. I feel like Hilton's going to be okay if I take that hotel key. They're going to do all right. So just a lot of photos from that trip. I also include stickers, like bumper stickers are good to add. Postcards are good to add. I just grabbed this one that said Breck, Colorado. These are photos from a hike that I took. Oh, let me show this one real quick. So my friend and I went to find Isaac. He is this big troll that lives near the town of Breckenridge. So we took a little walk and found Isaac. And so we took pictures of us with Isaac the troll. This was pictures from a hike that I took. Again, film strip. Added those. A lot of photos there. I've added some vintage lace to this page here. Just lots of photos. This is an envelope here that I've tucked a bunch of photos in there. So again, just trying to save some real estate here so that I'm not doing pages for all of these photos, that I can add a lot of photos to a page. This is a vintage time card that I have. Just added some photos to that. Made that a little flip. This flips out. This is a guest check that I used to do some journaling and add some photos there. In my journals, I like to also document current events. So while I was up in Breckenridge, the Queen passed away. So I did do a little bit of documenting about that on here. I made a little pocket here and tucked this in. This is an invitation to one of our friends has an end of summer party every year. So that's the invitation to that. I've tucked that in there with a photo of us from that evening. So October, just some photos from October. This next page, my friend and I went to go see Ain't Too Proud at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, and it was phenomenal. So we took some photos from that. I've taken apart the little booklet that you get when you go to see a stage production, and I cut off the front cover where it says Ain't Too Proud. It's the Life and Times of the Temptations. So I added that and I created a pocket, and inside the pocket I just tore out the pages from the booklet because there's a lot in there that doesn't pertain. There's a lot of advertisements and that kind of stuff that don't particularly pertain to the show that you're seeing. So I cut out the pages that did pertain to it. So I've got the cast and I've got the music and that kind of stuff. So that I wanted to be sure and save. So I did fold that up, and then that just lives in this pocket. I did go get my first mammogram. Yes, I know I am late. 54 is not the ideal age to start going to get a mammogram. I don't have any history at all of breast cancer. So my doctor was fine with me waiting till 54, but I just needed to get a baseline done. Everything's good, everything's fine. And it was not nearly as dreadful as of an experience as I thought it was going to be. So highly suggest getting that mammogram early. November memories. My friend and I went to go see My Fair Lady again at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, and I did the same thing. So just cut off the My Fair Lady, created a pocket, and added the pages from the brochure. This was when we went to Graceland. So again, I'm doing a whole journal on Graceland, but these were just some of my favorite photos that I wanted to create a little spread for. So this is me at the famous Music Note gates in front of Graceland. This was the first night that we got there. We went to dinner at a barbecue restaurant, and our driver took us to the gates of Graceland, and we got to just hang out, and like I was clinging onto the gates of Graceland, and he took this picture for me. So that's really sweet and one of my favorite photos. This is the next morning. We did go to Graceland, so there's a picture of that. There's a picture of me and my friend at Graceland, and then this folds down, and I've got a picture of us in front of the Elvis photo, and then I've created another little pocket over here with some of my favorite photos from this. This is, we did the Ultimate VIP tour, so I got to hold Elvis's actual belt. It was phenomenal. It was like the best trip ever. Oops. So just some other random photos. We stayed at the guest house at Graceland, the Welcome to Graceland, and then this is on the stairs going down into the basement at Graceland. So those are just a few photos. Again, I'll have an entire journal devoted to this, but I just wanted to put a few photos in there. And then this is us with our Ultimate VIP tour lanyards. So it was so much fun. So then December, I always take screenshots of the weather when there's something to document. It was cold. We had, for the first time in a very long time, we had a true winter. So 14, 16 below, not fun. Again, we went to see our favorite band, so just some photos from that. And I realized that this tab does not match anything. It doesn't go with anything at all. But this was the, I don't know if you can see it in this picture. This was the wristband that they give you to show that you're able to drink. And so I just use that as a tab up there. It doesn't go with anything, but it was from that evening. So again, another night in December, we went to see that same band with a different group of friends. So we've got photos from that. Just took all kinds of fun photos from that night. And I love having these photos to look back on. Christmas, I love to do a vintage Christmas every year. So I wanted to do a vintage Christmas layout. So that's that. My daughter and her dog. My mom made these ornaments. So this first ornament right here is a felt heart with a little pocket in it, and it holds a mass card from my grandpa's funeral. And this year she made me one for my grandma. So my grandma and grandpa are together on my tree again. So now we've got 2023. This is New Year's. I've got photos. I took a photo of the TV when I was watching Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn is my tradition every New Year's Eve. I love Holiday Inn. It's one of my absolute favorite movies. It's where originally where White Christmas comes from. A lot of people think that it comes from the White Christmas movie. It doesn't. It comes from Holiday Inn. So just did a little bit of journaling on the back of this pocket page to talk about that. Again, another screenshot of the weather because it was 7 below. Just some pictures of our trees with the frost on them. And then I did do a little bit of journaling about when Lisa Marie Presley died. So I'm a big Elvis fan, and obviously was very familiar with Lisa Marie Presley, and this made me very sad. Knowing that we were just there. We were just at Graceland, and we saw the whole exhibit on Lisa Marie. We saw her baby clothes. We saw her crib. We saw her first bike. We saw her roller skates, her record player. They have a whole display dedicated to Lisa Marie. And we also saw where her son is buried, and now I know exactly where she is buried. She is buried right next to her son, and she is across the fountain from her dad. So it just put the whole thing kind of in perspective. So I journaled a little bit about that and then added a collage photo there along with a photo of her headstone. So then we've got some February memories. This is when I opened my Etsy shop. So I screenshot the emails that I got from Etsy, and I added a journaling tag here with some information just, about what a big dream this was of mine to open my Etsy shop. This is an email, a screenshot of the email that I got when I made my first Etsy sale. Sorry if you can hear that airplane. It is a beautiful, beautiful day out, and my window is open in my scrapbooking room. So if you hear the airplane, sorry about that. Again, we had another well below 0 day, so 11 below. Did a little flip here. I was a Disney annual pass holder, and I decided to book myself a solo trip to Disney just one more time to use up my annual pass before it expired. I also wanted to try the new Magic Band Plus, so I ordered that, and so just did a little documenting about that. And then also in February, my husband, we started this journey. As I mentioned before, he's been dealing with a medical issue. We finally were getting somewhere. So he had to check into the hospital. These are his bracelets. I've covered up his personal information, but I saved his hospital bracelets, and this is a picture of the hospital. He had a procedure done that morning, so a picture of him with some information about the hospital. Later, we went to see Last Man on Earth again, and so I just did some journaling about that, and again, more photos from that night. Lots of my besties. Okay, let me stop here and just share something with you. So I've had a lot of people ask me how I plan to make my photos fill my journal. How do I make it work so that I don't have excess pages, that all of my photos fit? Okay, so as you may or may not have noticed, the last few pages that I've had have only had 1, maybe 2 photos on them. So what I tend to do, so this particular book has 3 signatures in it. I knew this had to document a whole year, so I planned to do 4 months in each signature. So I roughly knew how many, I knew that this section would have to be so many months, and I would have to fit all of that in here. So as I'm coming to the end, I'm realizing that I have a lot more pages than I have pictures in my album or in my junk journal. So what I've started to do is spread out my photos. So I've only got 1 here, I've got 1 here, 1 here, I've got 2 here, but I'm starting to spread those out a little bit. And another thing that I'm also starting to do is starting to figure out where I can glue pages together. So this particular page I have glued together, and there are a couple little pages. So if you guys have seen my junk journals before, I create smaller pages in my signature. So I will have half pages in my signature. And what I've done is I've kind of sandwiched those half pages in between these pages just to kind of kill some of those pages so I don't have excess pages. So I try to figure out where I can start to glue pages together. So that's what I'm doing right now. So if you've noticed, like I mentioned, the pictures are a lot more spread out, and pages are starting to be glued together. So I try to figure that out when I get close to the end and figure out how I can consolidate pages. So now we're into March. My daughter and son-in-law, my son and daughter-in-law my battery died, and got a new puppy, and so I did some documenting. They shared some photos on Facebook, so I just stole those photos and added them here, talked about that little puppy, little Coda. And then this was where my husband had to have like major surgery. So I saved the parking ticket, my valet parking ticket, and then a copy of the hospital logo, so we knew where we were at. I knew where we were at. And then I've added some text messages. So throughout his procedure, they were sending me text messages. He was in surgery for about 5 hours, so they would text me and say, surgery's going well, the procedure's underway, he's in recovery, all that kind of stuff. Things are going well. So I just tucked some journaling in this pocket, a whole bunch of journaling on the front and the back of this about this procedure, because it had been a long time in coming, and it was very much what was needed. So poor guy, I took a photo of him as soon as he was out of in recovery. He is not happy with this picture, but it was the only time I got to take. So this right here, when I was waiting for him, when he was in surgery, I went to the coffee shop, and this is the sleeve from the coffee cup that I got, and it didn't really go with anything, so I decided to cover it up with some paper, and I added his hospital bracelet from this trip on the back side of this. Again, I've just covered up his information for this video, but so that is all there. This is the board that was in his room that said, what room he was in, the date, all that kind of stuff, who was taking care of him. So that's also good to keep. And then he ended up having to have a second surgery like a day or two after the first one. So again, text messages from that procedure. All right, so then we're moving on. The end of the month, we celebrated my best friend's birthday. So this was, we all went out to dinner for her birthday. So these are just some photos that document that. And again, pages are glued together, one page or one picture, one or two photos, that kind of stuff. Very, very spread out. And just got some more vintage lace on there. And then I ended this book with some photos, just saying spring is coming. This is the end of March. Easter is my absolute favorite holiday. Nothing makes me happier than when I go to the grocery store and they have all of the Easter stuff out. Oh, just makes me so happy. And then another photo of the tree in our backyard with some snow on it. So spring is coming. My next journal, again, starts with April. So you guys, if you have stuck with me through the end of this, kudos to you, because this is a long, long flip through. And probably, I don't know how interesting it was to you, but I wanted to share it so that going forward you would know, again, what I do, why I do it, and why I think it's so very important to document the memories of your life. Just the minute little things, just the things that you do, rather than celebrating and journaling big moments like weddings or babies or that kind of stuff. Document your life. Document your life, and you will be surprised to see how much there is to document in your life. So thanks again so much for joining me. If you're still here with me, give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below if you have any questions about anything you've seen today. And I will see you guys later with another video. Thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.